Hello BookTube, it's Sarah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a little bit of a discussion video. Today I'm going to talk about why I love ebooks. And I have mentioned this a couple times on videos about if people were interested in me doing this kind of a video, and I did get some good response from it. So here we go. So I thought I'd actually start out with talking about my history of e-reading, because this isn't something new that I'm coming to. I've been reading on an e-reader for probably almost 7 years now, I can tell you that. When my husband and I got married, we went just like up north to cottage country for our honeymoon, and we went to the local chapters because we both love to read. And we were in there and we were talking, and at the time, Kobo, which is like the Canadian version of the Kindle, for lack of a better explanation, like Barnes & Noble has the Nook, Chapters has the Kobo, which I think is still being made. But anyway, it was the first generation. They had just come out. So the hubs and I decided to actually buy them for each other, sort of, as wedding gifts. So I have had an e-reader for almost 7 years. Now, I loved it. I thought that was the coolest thing when I first got it, and I think we both really enjoyed it. Actually, I noticed the other day I was in my husband's, the room where he keeps all of his collectibles, and I think he actually still has his. I think I saw it on the floor in there. So it's an antique. I liked it. I really liked the original. There were a lot of drawbacks to it, and I think that's the reason I didn't stick with it at the time. I, kind of would go back and forth between e-reading and reading physical books. My biggest issue with the first generation Kobo, and I don't know if this was the same for the Kindle or not, was that it wasn't connected to Wi-Fi. So in order to put books onto it, you had to physically plug it into your computer. And the thing that we found to be a big pain when we were away, because my husband brought his laptop when we went up for our honeymoon, but I didn't bring mine. So we were using his to download books. Well, then when I got home and tried to put books using my laptop, it didn't recognize it. There were a lot of bugs in that aspect with the original Kobos, and I didn't stick with it for that reason. A couple years later, I ended up getting, I think it was the the Kobo Fire, or the Kobo Vox maybe. I can't remember what it was called, but it was in color. And that's the one thing that I was missing from reading a physical book on the e-reader, was that it was in black and white. Like, you didn't see the color cover, you didn't see any of that stuff. And so I ended up getting that. And for those of you who are familiar with the Vox, there were a lot of issues with the Vox. I'm pretty sure they were recalled within like not recalled, but they stopped making them after like 6 months because people's were having major issues with them. So I never ended up replacing mine. I just kind of put it to the side and whatever. Well, a couple years after that, so about three years ago or so, I actually bought a Kindle Fire. And I really, really loved using it. The Kindle Fire was very, very cool. It was a tablet, essentially, that you could read ebooks on. Now, I mean, you can download the Kindle app, which I know a lot of people use on their iPads, or, I do have a Samsung Galaxy. And I did use this for a long time as an e-reader with my with the Kindle app on here. So that was very cool. But I liked it, but again, there were bugs to it. What I really, really liked about the way it works now is that, you don't have to have it hooked up to your computer. As long as you've got a Wi-Fi connection, you can buy books and it goes directly to the Kindle, which is very, very cool. So I was using the Fire, which I liked, but then I think something happened to it and I had to have it replaced. That's the one thing I do have to say. I have to make an addendum to this video. If you ever have a problem with an Amazon product, and I have had the Kindle Fire conked out on me, within 2 days they sent me a brand new one. With my Kindle, I think it's the 8th generation now, is the one that I have, that I use all the time. I ended up getting like a dot on the screen, so it's like something had pressed into it and caused something to happen, so there was always this dot on the screen. When I contacted Amazon, they sent me a brand new one, no questions asked, within like 2 days. Now, granted, I had to send the old one back, but still, like, they don't ask questions. They just will send you a new one, you send us back the old one, which is absolutely fantastic. And they even send you like the shipping label to mail the stuff back. It's fabulous. So it costs you nothing out of pocket. So anyway, so that's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, so I stopped using the Fire. I just kind of got really annoyed with it. So then last summer, not the summer of 2016, but the summer of 2015, My husband and I got ourselves Samsung Galaxy tablets. And I love this thing. I use it all the time when I'm laying in bed at night, if I'm like on Instagram or Facebook. And I used it for a good year, year and a half as an e-reader. And I really, really liked it. It is a good e-reader. Some of my issues with it is heavy. I mean, it's not exactly light. I mean, it's not, it's not, this. Like if you're comparing apples to oranges, you can't. This is a hell of a lot heavier than this. But the other thing is that this is very expensive in comparison to, you know, this. This is quite an expensive piece of machinery, and if something happened to it, if it got banged or my purse got stolen or God knows what else, this is a lot of money that you're out. Plus the fact that this does have, like I have like a lot of apps on here that do tend to have some personal information on it. Maybe I should actually, now that I'm talking this out loud, maybe I should put a password on this in case it ever goes missing. But anyway, personal information can be gotten very, very easily with something like this. The other thing that I noticed reading off of this is that I wasn't reading nearly as much, and sorry, it's probably wrecking the white balance, is that I wasn't reading nearly as much on this as I was reading in a physical book. The reason is because, as I said, this is hooked up to Instagram. This is hooked up to Facebook and Facebook Messenger and my email. So, you're reading along your book and then you get like a notification saying, oh, so-and-so posted a photo on Instagram. Or, Facebook Messenger comes up and my friend's messaging me, what are we doing tomorrow? And you go away from what you're reading and you go and check to see what it is, because that's honestly how we are now. Like, squirrel, literally. We completely turn our attention at the smallest thing. So, I found it very difficult because I wasn't reading as much. And then back in the fall, my friend was talking about getting a Kobo, or a Kindle, a new Kindle. So I went online and I wanted to look at what they were. Well, they had the Paperwhite. And I really liked the idea of the Paperwhite, but it was backlit and all that stuff, which I mean is fine and that's fantastic. And I think it's a really, really nice little system. But I really did fall in love with like the cheapest one, which in reality is so close to that original Kobo that I had 7 years ago. It's unbelievable. The only thing is now is that it's no longer, you don't have to connect it to your computer to upload books to it. And it's got Wi-Fi on it. I cannot access any apps on this. This is literally for reading only. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's light as a feather. It's fantastic just to toss in my purse. Now I don't have it over here, but I do actually have a little bag that I keep it in. I do have to buy a case for it because I do want it properly covered. Ever since I had the first one with the issue with the screen, I've been keeping it in this, actually it's a knitting bag of all things. It's a rather thick knitting bag, and I just kind of keep it zippered in there in a pocket in my purse. And I can pull it in at any time I want to. Now, saying that, I still do have the Kindle app on my phone because sometimes, like, if I'm sitting, or not sitting, if I'm sitting at the doctor's office, I will pull this out all the time. But if I'm, like, standing in line even, and the lineup's, like, 2 or 3 people in front of me, like, if I'm at the bank, I will actually pull this out and start reading on it, just because it's quicker and easier, and I can get my hand on it quicker. Like this, I have to, pull out that little bag, open up the bag, pull this out. I mean, not that it takes an extra 5 or 6 seconds, but because this is usually right in the pocket of my coat, it's just easier for me to pull it and start reading it. And they do sync to each other, of course, so that's very cool. I'm going to go through at the end of the video some pros and cons as well. But I thought I would just kind of show you guys, if you guys are not familiar with this Kindle, I believe it's called the 8th generation, is like the actual name of it if you're looking for it. It is the cheapest Kindle that they have on their website. So this is my home screen. Not terribly interesting. I'm not sure what you guys can actually see. But I don't download books until I'm ready to read them. So if I go to, like it says, all or downloaded, and mine is downloaded. So if I hit all, it brings up literally every single book on here that I own. And you can just scroll to look at. I've got 57 pages of books on here, okay, guys? 454 in case you're curious. And I have them set up by collection. Now, I started doing collections. This is something that I wasn't familiar with on this, but Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand did an entire like what's on my Kindle kind of idea. And she showed collections, and I thought this was really neat. So I actually started doing it this year. So for example, I'll show you. I've got February and I've got January. So all the books that I'm reading that month for the Triple RC challenge, I download them and I put them in here. So as you can see, there's all the books I read in January, and beside it you see the little tick mark showing that it is downloaded. And then underneath the book, it actually shows you that I'm done 100% because I finished these books. So if I go back and I go into February, so you can see all the books that I've actually finished, and then the books I haven't read yet are at the bottom. So right now I'm reading The Unholy by Heather Graham, and I am 15% of the way through that, if you can see that. So yeah, I really like the idea of collections, and I love the idea of putting the stuff in these collections, almost like putting them on a shelf. It's kind of fun that way. So anyway, but I only ever have on here just the books that I have downloaded. Underneath that, there's dictionaries, which I do have downloaded, which I think is very, very cool. So actually, I'll go in and I'll show you that real quick. That's what I want. So let's say I'm reading away and I don't know what the word situation stands for. There's the word situation. So you press and hold on the word, and it makes it black, like it highlights it essentially, and then it tells you the dictionary definition, which is very cool. I have actually used that quite a bit. The other really cool thing is, let me go back. There is something called My Clippings, which you can see right here. It says My Clippings. So if I click on that, essentially what it is you can highlight stuff in the books, and this is where it stores all that highlighted information. So, for example, I highlighted on December 31st the opening line to this book because I really did like it. And then I did the same for The Winter People when I read that earlier this month. So, that's very cool, and I like having that there. That you can kind of annotate your books and remember passages and lines and stuff like that. So yeah, I really, really love this. I can access, if I go here, because I'm connected to Wi-Fi right now, I can actually access the Kindle or the Amazon Kindle store, which is very cool, and like buy books right on here. I generally don't do that. I like to like really go on Amazon and have a look at it. But yeah, I absolutely love this. And I think it's just fantastic. Like, I read on it every single day. I love the aspect on the book when you're reading. I'll just show you guys really quickly. Sometimes it's a pain. But 90% of the time I love it. So, I don't know if you can see that, but way in the bottom, it says 8 minutes left in this chapter. So I love the fact that it picks up your reading speed as you're going along. So, you're laying in bed at night. Now, I do need a light to read this because it's not backlit. But if I'm laying in bed at night and I'm reading, and, you're starting to get kind of tired and you look at the time and go, oh, it's 10:30, I really need to get to bed. And you look down and go, oh, I've only got 5 minutes left of this chapter. So you're going to finish the chapter before you go to bed. So I kind of really like that idea, along with the percentage of how far you are through the book. So yeah, I absolutely, absolutely love my e-reader. I now read on this exclusively. Do I miss regular books? Yes, I absolutely do miss regular books. I'm not going to lie. If space was no issue, I think I still would read on an e-reader for a lot of other reasons, but if space wasn't an issue, I would still read a lot of physical books. Unfortunately, 454 books, plus the fact that I'm pretty much adding books daily to this almost, space, I was going to run out of relatively quickly. Now, so that's one of the big, if you go pros and cons for ebook and physical book, is a space issue. I've got, probably 3 bookshelves worth of books in the palm of my hand, which is brilliant. Another pro, and I've already kind of mentioned it, is that you can read anywhere. I mean, you can do that with a book, but if you're standing in line at the bank, and again, I'm going to use this as the example because it's sitting beside me, but you're standing in line at the bank, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be carrying this around with you in your purse. And 2, even if you were, so now you're going to pull this thing out and you're going to sit and start reading it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see it happening. The other thing, another pro is that there's a lot of books available for the Kindle or for ebook that are not necessarily available in print book format. Now, I know a lot of authors, and I've seen it a lot on BookTube, where they're doing like a book a print book with like all the novellas in it, um, for like however much, like I don't know how much is a regular book now, like 20 bucks or something. So you can get a bind up of all 4 or 5 of those novellas, but you've got to wait until that bind up is produced to be able to read those stories. Whereas with an e-reader, that's what they were made for, are those little novellas, like not what they were made for, but they're perfect for that. The Fool's Gold series by Susan Mallory has, I think every 2 or 3 books there's a novella, and they're only like 99 cents. You can pick up like a less than 100-page book for 99 cents and read it. This is also great for self-published authors, which I think is really very cool. You publish a book and you stick it out on Amazon for free or for 99 cents. Anybody can see it and download it. They don't have to hunt out an independently published book and order it from a website, or, wait for it to come in the mail, or hunt it down at their local bookstore. That's very cool for that too. Some of the things that I do miss, because it's not perfect. I mean, let's be honest. And again, this is in black and white. It's not in color. So, I don't get to see the pretty covers, but let's be honest. You're reading the book. You're not looking at the cover the whole time, right? So that really isn't that much of a drawback. Again, I absolutely love it. And I wouldn't trade this. This is worth its weight in gold to me. I mean, it doesn't weigh very much, but still. I absolutely love it. And, God forbid when this conks out, because, it will. It's an electronic device. I can get a new one. And all that content that I've purchased on the Amazon is still going to sit there and nothing's going to happen to it. Now, I've read stuff online and it makes me laugh, because people are like, well, what if Amazon ever goes belly up? If Amazon ever goes belly up, that's not happening overnight. And you own this content, irregardless of where it's stored. Yes, you can't download the books and keep them maybe on the hard drive of your computer, but they are still there, and, they're still yours. Now, the other thing I want to talk about really quickly before I stop this video, because I'm already been yammering on for quite a little while, is, as I've mentioned, guys, I buy a lot of ebooks off of harlequin.com. Now, I do put those on my Kindle, and it can be done. There are ways to do it. Now, I know that they say you can read it using the Overdrive app, so if you have this, again, you cannot put apps on this. And the way I look at it, I own these. I own these books, so I am more than allowed to do whatever I want with them. So what I do with them actually is I remove what's called the DRM, and then I email them to myself, because when you get a Kindle account, you get an email address that's hooked up to your device. And for example, mine is sarahphalin@kindle.com. I don't remember exactly what it is. It doesn't matter. But you get this email address. And if you have documents, like not even other ebooks, but like, let's say that you are in school and you typed up your 400-page dissertation on, why contemporary romance novels are superior to historical romance novels. And you wanted to email it or send it to your Kindle to be able to, study the notes for some reason, you can email that document to yourself. And when I was showing you this a little bit earlier, let me go back to my main page here, it will tell you whether it's a doc or not. So if you can see here, the top two, if you see Rock Addiction, where it says 100%, beside there it's got nothing written. But if you go up to where it says The Unholy, and then it says 13%, see it says doc? That is one that I've bought off of Harlequin and transferred to this device. It shows it's a document as opposed to a book. It doesn't read it as if it's a book, it reads it as if it's a document. So it still reads exactly the same. Nothing is different in the way it's being read. It's the way the device registers it. So that's very cool. So like I said, I buy a lot of my books off of Harlequin because they have a lot of great deals and a lot of great sales. That's another thing I was going to say about Plus, is that occasionally books will go on sale. I know, was it last year? Sometime last year, and I think a bunch of my friends got in on this. They got the entire series of Outlander on ebook as like a bind up, if you will, for like $8. The entire series of Outlander. Like, that's insane. If we all have so many books that unless you're really hurting for something to read, you can wait on stuff and something will go on sale. I know they're doing a big sale right now. and there's a bunch of New York Times bestsellers that are on for like 80% off. Like I said earlier, with indie authors, if you're interested in just reading some fun books, you can grab stuff for free. They have the Kindle Unlimited, which isn't all the books on the Kindle, but there are special Kindle Unlimited deals, and it's $10 a month, and you can read unlimited. Like, it's almost like Netflix for books in a way. I mean, there's just so many advantages to having an e-reader, and I absolutely love it. So, yeah. But anyway, that was my video on why I love ebooks. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them in the down bar below. If there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about with ebooks or anything like that, please let me know again in the comments, and I will definitely, I mean, I took this as a suggestion of a video that you guys wanted to see, and I'm very, very happy that I did it. So if you guys have any more video suggestions for me, please feel free to post them below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next video. Take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.